Hello and welcome back to the Phil Gadd Podcast, where I delve into the minds of entrepreneurs and learn how they achieved their starts, overcame obstacles, and developed their own success. By listening to my podcast, you can implement these strategies and learn to start shaping your own growth mindset and entrepreneurial journey. It can be that simple. Today is going to be awesome because I am joined by the social media queen of real estate, Gogo Bethke.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm really excited. I know you've got plenty other accolades from just the social media queen of real estate. You run a team of 980 plus agents. You've probably won multiple awards for being awesome in business. And I hear you have a TV show maybe coming very
That is
shortly.
coming. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's an overnight success as people see it, right? But it's 11 years of a lot of work.
Well, yeah, I just want to unpack as much as I can, really. Take us right back to the beginning and let us know
You're
what
actually,
happened.
yeah, you're actually watching me in action. I like to tag the people, right? So that my viewers can see your episode and all that. So this is me working right now. So for me, it started, by the way, I love your accent. I'm an immigrant myself. So
Well,
for me, it started back in Romania. I was born and raised in Transylvania, Romania. I was 21 when I came to the US. I came all by myself. So I left home when I was 14 because my dad always used to say, first of all, there was a lot of rules, and I'm not very good with rules. I don't do well with rules. If there are rules, I just want to break them, right? So, and you're better off not telling me what I can and cannot do. And my dad would always tell me, these are the rules. As long as you live under my roof, these are the rules, right? And if you don't like it, there's a door. So up until I was like 14, I was like, well, I kind of have to stay at home because, where am I going to go? But at 14, I was like, one too many rules. I'm just going to go for the door, right? And so I left home when I was 14. I always was a very good student. I always had a good head on my shoulders. So I got into a religious high school in a dormitory with a scholarship. So I didn't have to pay for anything. So I lived in a dorm in another city. And then from there, I went to college. Again, I got in with scholarship. So I didn't have to pay for that. They even paid for my transportation, books, room and board, everything. So then I went to another country for college. And then I was 2.5 years in college, and I was like, I'm going to America. I had to pass English. In my third year of college, I had a big English exam, and I didn't speak English at all. So I figured, I'm like, well, I can go and, hang with the people who speak it all day, and I will pick it up very quick, then come back and, continue life and pass my English exam. Well, I came to US as an au pair. That was pretty much the only way of doing it at the time. And au pair is a live-in nanny, right? So I did that 2 months being in the US. I met my husband. And then 2 months after that, I moved in. 2 months after that, we were married. We've been married now. We just had our 19th anniversary. We have two boys. So that was back in 2003. I came by myself. I knew absolutely no one in this country. And I borrowed $200 to have some spending money. I thought that's going to last me for months, right? And 2011, so I did a lot of different jobs. So between 2003, I did data entry in a warehouse. I did restaurant food safety. I worked as a server. I worked in a jewelry store. I worked as a babysitter. So you name it, I had it. As I like to say, it's process of elimination of what I don't want to be when I grow up, right? Did you ever know? Well, like when the teacher said, what are you going to be when you grow up? Did you ever have an answer?
no, I think I wanted to be an architect,
Did you?
but but then I realised it was like 8 years of school, and I was like, no, I'm not doing
Really.
that.
I was more like, oh, I want to be an actress or a lawyer. Like those were the
Uh,
two things, because I really enjoyed watching lawyer on TV and doing the arguments. Like that part, I was like, oh, I could kill it. I can be so good at it, right? But also enjoyed watching others being actors and actresses on TV. I can't memorize anything. Like I cannot say other people's words, so I would never. God, I couldn't pay the bills being an actress. Let's just put it that way. But I think those were the things I wanted to do. But I never truly had an answer of like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be a ballet or ballerina or none of that, right?
yeah.
And so I kind of did a bunch of random jobs. And in 2011, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. The boys were 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And my neighbor thought that I would make a great realtor. So
What?
she had,
Why do you think she thought that?
I mean, she was a marketing director for a title company. I don't know if they got some sort of a placement, something, right? If you brought realtors or not. But I think because, being from Romania, not having anyone here, the only way I could really truly stay in touch with everybody was through Facebook. Because this way, if I saw them going on vacation and people getting married and having kids and all of that stuff, I didn't feel like necessarily I was missing out, right? Versus if I didn't have a chance to see that, I probably would have been homesick more often and maybe I would have went home. I don't know. But because she saw me on Facebook all the time, she's like, you're so social and you have a great social media for, personal Facebook at the time. She's like, you should be a realtor. So I was home watching HGTV all day. So it didn't seem that hard. I'm like, if those people can do it, I can do it, right? How hard can it be? And I went and got licensed. I passed right away. I got my license in 2011 and I've been a licensed realtor ever since.
Wow. So that's even so it's just over a decade really. You've started as a realtor and now you've done, everything to this point. What, okay, right. I've got some questions, but
Yeah.
I think the biggest one, I mean, how do you define success? How do you define success?
Being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want it, wherever I want it, with whomever I want it to do it with.
Okay. So how did you get from becoming a realtor in 2011 to where you are today? What if you could give three things that you would attribute to that success?
Oh gosh. Can I say words that might be beeped?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not for children.
Okay, I'm just making sure. And if you have to beep it, beep it. But I think you have to have a little bit of asshole. Because
Okay.
if not, this industry is going to chew you up and spit you out by noon, and you're going to be crying, and your feelings going to get hurt, and you just have to have tough skin, right? You just have to have tough skin. You have to outwork everyone. You have to be better at negotiating, better at marketing, better at lead generation. You just have to be better because there's 1.6 million realtors in this country, right? Your sellers and buyers have a choice who they're going to be working with. That I think, and I think I'm a fierce negotiator, right? Like I have zero problem. Even when I was day one on, like when I sign a contract with my clients, buyers or sellers, I take my fiduciary duty very seriously. Like I look at their bottom line, like if it was my bottom line, because I know that happy clients refer, right? So I will fight for them tooth and nail for their best interest. I literally just came off on sorry for being 4 minutes late, but on the drive back from the grocery store, I was literally on the call with one of my agents who took an offer that was contingent. And on the receiving side, right, they took the offer, it's contingent, but the buyer doesn't have an offer and they didn't put a deadline to there. So now I'm like, so you're going to just sit contingent until the cows come home? Like that is not your seller's best interest, right? But you don't know that until you go to the thing. So I think negotiation is I don't take no for an answer. One of my favorite things to say is everything is figure outable. Like if there's no way, then I'm going to be the way. Like I'm going to freaking create it if it doesn't exist. But for me, there is no, I think Arnold says it. If you ever need like a good pick-me-up video, Arnold Schwarzenegger has one, I think is the 6 Rules of Life. And in that video, he says that if somebody tells him you can't do it because nobody done it, he's like, well, perfect. Then I'll be the first one to do it. Yeah. Right. So I do not take no for an answer. Like I am, when you look and ask anybody, I am determined. I think probably my picture is next to the word determined in the vocabulary, because when I want something, there's only plan A. There's no plan B. Like I'm not like, well, I want this, but if that doesn't work out, then I'll settle for this. No. Like this is what I want. It's crystal clear. This is where we are going. We just have to figure out the how and the when, right? So I think that, and then I think I'm probably the world's greatest implementer. Like I'm a student for life. I hate not knowing something. I will study and get to the end of Google and talk to the people who've been there, done that. But as soon as I learn it, I implement. Actually, sometimes before I even learn it, I implement, and then we build a plane on the way down. Right? You're like, we jumped. Now we're gonna have to build it because if not, it's going down, crashing, right? So I think those are my big 3 major life traits that are non-negotiable that I do all the time.
And do you think they are traits or are they kind of learnt? I mean, were they ingrained in you, do you think? Or have you sort of evolved along the way?
So, that's a great question because I don't know why I am the way I am. right?
Okay.
Like, is it created? And these are the skills that God gave me, and this is how I think, right? And these are just the brain cells that I've been given.
Yeah.
Or is it because things happened to me that taught me to react this way? I think it's a little bit of both. But in the same time, I feel like in every situation, there's a victim and a victor. No
Okay.
matter what's happening to you, you have a choice, right? Like, are you going to come out as a victim or are you going to come out as a victor? And I feel like the basic that's installed in us that you cannot change, how you react to things, your natural, maybe I shouldn't say you cannot change. I think you can change it, but it's going to take a lot of work, right? So your natural reaction when something's happening, that's how you are designed. Now, in order to change that to get a different result, because if you do the same thing over and over again, it's the definition of insanity, expecting a different result. So in order to change that, now you kind of have to look deep inside and change yourself. And I think that's where the hard work comes in. And I don't know. I think there are certain things that you can, and there are certain things you cannot change. Like, no matter how hard I tried and how much work ethic I would put in, like, I could outwork Michael Jordan. I will never be Michael Jordan. I'm 5'2", right? No matter how much I would work. So I think there's certain things you can change and certain things you can't. I think some parts of us are just who we are. And then some parts, if you put in the hard work and the soul searching and you go to events and you get to the bottom of it and the darkest alleys of your soul, which I've done many of those with like UPWs and things with Tony Robbins, I think there are things that you can change.
That's interesting. You mentioned someone like Tony Robbins, because I feel, like people who like have the drive that you're talking about, and I believe that, one of the biggest things, is outworking. Having that worth ethic. I think I've started working when I was like 11. Like delivering papers, and I've always worked. I've always had that, and it kind of wasn't until recently where I was like, it was quite a satisfying feeling knowing that whatever happened, I know whatever situation I'm in, I know I could get out of it just from my worth ethic. But it took me a long time to realize that.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone last night, and she was saying something. I think it was what was it? I think it was regarding, the real estate roller coaster, right? Of like, you can make all this money and then you're unemployed, and then 2 months you make nothing, and then they said, that's just how we do real estate, right? Yeah. And I said, yeah, but if you know how to do this, right? If you knew how to do the 6 transactions a month, the only reason you don't have 6 transactions this month is because you stopped doing what you did to get the 6. Right. And then you get so busy and you don't have the people and the systems in places, then you couldn't continue both. And that's why we have the real estate roller coaster. But if you know how to do 6 deals a month, you know how to do it again and again and again and again and again. You just have to have systems in places or the right hires in places, right? Or you have to stay up a little later and wake up a little earlier, right? So if you can't create more time by leveraging other people's time, then you're going to have to work extra. But I think I've never been afraid of work, because I know I don't care. I mean, I'll go take a night shift to talk about tomorrow. Like, I have 0 problems, right? Work never scared me. So that's why I'm not afraid of money, because I always know I'm going to have it, because I always know as long as I have my right mind and I'm healthy, then I can go get a job. It's considered done.
No, that's great. Along the way, I guess, like anyone, any entrepreneur, there's, like you've mentioned, there's ups and downs. Has there been times where, like in the early days, that it didn't happen, or didn't quite happen, or what were the biggest obstacles you had to overcome in your early days in your career?
I mean, I made a whooping $16,000 in my first year. Does that describe success? Like, I don't know if I covered my gas and my realtor fees in my first year, right?
Yeah.
I had the luxury. So I did not get into real estate thinking that I'm going to be making millions.
Yeah.
Right? It just wasn't the idea. My idea was, at the time, we were broke to American standards, but not broke to the rest of the world standards, right?
Yeah.
So broke as we couldn't necessarily justify for me going home with 2 kids every single year, right? That's like $10,000. That was a lot of money to us back in the day, right? So when I got licensed, I just wanted to make enough money so I can go home. But my husband has a job and he was paying all the bills. So I was like, well, if I could make enough money to go home every year to Romania and maybe even spring break, I made it.
Okay.
right? So because I didn't come in, as I like to say, balls to the walls, thinking I'm going to be making millions from day one and I'm going to be a big real estate investor and I'm going to have 9 companies and social media queen, none of that was even in the picture, right? I didn't have that. That kind of came over time.
Yeah.
What I did have is I'm very competitive. So if I do something, I have to be on the top of the list or not on the list at all. Like if it doesn't matter to me, like I don't want to be the world's best jumping out of an airplaner because I'm never freaking going to do it, right? But if I want to do something, I have to be the best at it. So I think the side effects of like the success and things like that, that came because of how I'm wired, right? So if I'm doing something, we're going to be number one. I don't care what it takes. So it took me, my kids were young at the time, 2 and 4. I stayed home with them during the day and I only did real estate in the evenings and on the weekends, right? So I had a little bit of because I couldn't afford to get a sitter, right? So I had to make it work. So it took me, I would say, 4 years to make up, 6 digits. And then after that, I just started doubling and doubling and doubling. So some of the things that were hard for me, having no sphere.
Right.
I knew nobody, not a single person. My real name, actually, I don't know if you can put it into the chat box. I'll put my real name in there, but I have parentheses on them. So that's my real name. Can you see it? It's pronounced Gunvir.
Oh, here we go. Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody can pronounce it. Nobody knows if I'm a man or woman, right? At least in the US. So suddenly I was in sales with an accent, my name they can't pronounce, and then I decided to run my name by, have my name as Gogo.
Sure.
The same thing was Gogo growing up. So I had those things against me. So the hardest thing was, who the heck is going to buy a house or sell a house with me? Right? Because I'm like, I don't know anyone. I don't have a cousin or a college friend or somebody that's going to be like, hey, Gogo, we having a baby. Like, can you help us buy a bigger house and sell this one? Like, that wasn't happening. So then I had to figure out a way, right? Like, who's my target audience? Who is going to buy and sell a house with me? So for me, it was strangers. And where are strangers? On Facebook. So that was lesson number 1, right? Is to find my target audience.
Right.
And then consistently.
Sorry to interrupt. So that name there, that's your real first name?
That's my real first name, Gunvir.
Wow.
But the O has 2 dots on it and the E has a line.
Oh, okay.
To like tap it off, right? So it has letters literally that they were not even a part of the English ABC. Wow. Right? Yeah. So that for me was that, and then I had to figure out, okay, this is my target audience, but then in order to build something, you have to stay consistent. So I wasn't willing to cold call and door knock because I'm 5'2". Cold calling, I just can't beg someone for their business. I can't say the same thing over and over again, like shoot me now, right? Like that's why I love real estate, is because not 2 days are the same. Not the same client, not the same house, not the same way, not the same mortgage lender, not the same inspector, not the same nothing, right? Not the same closing gift. So it was exciting to me. But cold calling to me, to routine, sit down at 8 o'clock until 11 and call 100 people and say the same thing and being hung up on and answer the same 3 objections 100 times over, like shoot me now. I can't do it, right? So that was it. Number 1 was, where am I going to get leads from? Number 2, after I figured it out, if there's a way to do something for free, I'm going to figure it out, right? Yeah. I'm always like trying to have as little expenses as possible. I guess I don't like to spend necessarily money. And so the number 2 lesson I had to learn is that you have to spend money to make money. And then since you're talking about money, number 3 lesson I had to learn that there are phases to money. I clearly am really good at making it, right? Hard worker, I can make money. The next phase is saving it. And the next phase is growing it, investing it, have your money working for you, right? Because the idea is not for you to work 40 hours or, who am I kidding, 90 hours more like, right? If you're doing this, right? 90 hours a week for the rest of your life, right? So I think those are the 3 big lessons. And, I'm still working on a couple of them. I still don't like to spend money, but I do better now with investing, right? I actually have a business partner on 3 of my businesses that, he always tells me, go, give me 5,000, I give you 100. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Yeah. Right? But naturally, I do not spend the 5,000 to make 100. Right? That's very natural. Is there a free way of doing this? Maybe it's going to take us longer, but is there a way to do it for free versus speeding up the process by throwing some money at it? because
Yeah,
time
that's
is money.
yeah. No, like everything you said, it's you know, when people who I speak to are successful, it's always the same. You know, learn how to leverage your time, build systems, invest in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're gonna give that money to Uncle Sam. Oh man, that
Mm.
hurts.
Yeah.
You work way too hard to be giving 40% of it away, right? So it's just a big chunk that you just have to learn, right? Like I remember saying to my CP, I'm like, or my financial advisor, I'm like, I never had this problem. It's a great problem to have when you have to figure out what to do with money, right? But as
Right.
Veronica Figueroa says, different levels, different devils. Right? So every level of life, there's a lesson you have to learn before you can go to the next level. So if you're not getting to the next level, that's just because you have not learned a lesson on this level yet.
So yeah, that's really interesting. So how do you feel? How do you? A question I had was like, where did you? Was there a specific time where your mindset just suddenly clicked into like a different gear? Because you said at the
Yeah.
beginning like your success was basically, you know, very, and it's almost like what you said success was at the beginning, doing whatever you do whenever you want to do it. But back then it was much simpler ideas than you probably have now. So was there a time and that something just kind of clicked and your mindset was different, or was it an evolution
Yeah, I was
over
about
like?
29. Yeah, I was about 29, and I just kind of started this like I went through this like dark alley of soul searching. Kind of like, why am I here? Do I serve a purpose? Like I've never had that like, ooh, I'm gonna be a doctor and just gonna save the world from some epidemic, right? Like I never had that. I was like, so why would God make me? Like what purpose do I serve? Like do I bring something? Am I gonna be a dot in the history book one day? Right? And if so, what is that? Right? Because I didn't know. I didn't unnecessarily have a skill, or I wasn't talented. I couldn't sing or act or draw, or I mean, like, so I'm like, what am I doing on this earth? Right? So it's kind of started with that. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I started watching Oprah at the time, had her TV show, right? But she also had two different things. One was called Super Soul Sunday, and one was called one was called Masterclass. So Super Soul Sunday and Masterclass. And I started watching those in my free time, kids napping, right? And also at the time, if you signed up, she sent you a free leather-bound Oprah notebook, right? And I'm a huge notebooker. Like I could build houses for my notes, right? I don't go anywhere without my notebook. And I just used to sit on the couch and watch the shows and learn from others, right? So that's kind of, I remember her asking in one of the end of the episodes of like, just simple question to another person. It's like, who is God? And I was like, who is God? Right? Like those kind of questions of like, who is the person who made me? In my book, that's God, right? So it started that soul searching. And then I watched every single episode. I took notes. And I mean, there were times I cried literally when something finally made sense. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is so true. Like these life lessons. And then I had an opportunity to go to UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins.
Right.
I went as his guest, and that was my very first experience. And man, did I cry. Like I had no idea. My whole life, I thought my parents didn't love me because they never said it. And, the love languages, I need to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Because I can do anything. Because I can do anything, there's absolutely nothing you can do for me. So no matter what my parents did, they did, right? Their love language was doing for me. They would do anything for me. But there's nothing you can do for me that would make me feel that I'm loved. I need to hear it. So because my parents never said it, I just assumed that A, they don't love me, B, maybe I'm not lovable, something's wrong with me, right? Like those things. So I went through life searching for that. So in my childhood, I achieved. I did. Maybe if I achieve this, then they're gonna tell me they love me. Maybe if I'd be first in class, then they're gonna tell me that. Maybe if I win this competition, then they're gonna tell me they love me, right? But what that did to me growing up is now I don't know how to do anything else but achieve. It created a habit, right? Yeah. But what I learned, so many different lessons I learned at UPW, but really what came to me is that it's not that I wasn't enough, but I was too much.
Yeah.
and they didn't know what to do with me, right? I was so different than everybody else in my family. It was never good enough for me. I always had these big dreams. I'm going to America, right? And thank God that they allowed me to be me. Thank God that they allowed me to go. And I mean, would you like your 14-year-old move out and be like, okay, please go chase your dreams?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there has to, like today I think them, but back in the day I didn't understand it. Right? So now looking back and going to UPW, it changed my life. I would not be who I am today. So if anybody out there in the world is questioning of your purpose on this earth, if you don't know what UPW is, just buy a ticket. It will worth every penny. It's Unleash the Power Within by Tony Robbins. I did it like 7 times because, again, different levels, different devils, right?
Yeah.
You figure out who you are on different levels and why you react to things a certain way, right, when things are happening, and why do you see the world the way you see the world. Because we all have blinders on, right? Like, because that's how that's what your brain allows you to see. So I strongly recommend to go through some sort of a soul searching and then read books.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you live the same life, it's like reading the same world that your mind is not able to realize its own. You have somebody else's brain for that, right? And that's where books come in handy. So I do a lot of books. One of my new favorites is oh gosh, what is it called? It's Napoleon Hill.
Oh yeah.
It's not Thinking. He wrote another one.
I've read that one.
The Devil, Outwitting the Devil.
Oh, okay. I've heard about that.
Have you read that
actually
one?
read that one. No, I haven't yet.
Oh, it's amazing.
Okay, I'll have to get to that.
You're
Sorry, what was it about?
You learn how the devil works.
Ah, okay.
So then you can control him. You doesn't have not even a slightest piece in your life.
Yeah, some of them old books. I mean, he wrote that one. What year was that? That must have been like sort of turn of the century, wasn't it? When
it was like like 80 years ago. So there's quite a really cool story behind it. So he wrote Think and Grow Rich, and he's I think in the 30s, and a little after that he wrote Outwitting the Devil. And Think and Grow Rich got published, and he was a huge hit and all that. But Outwitting the Devil, they didn't let him publish it. They said it's too controversial. So it never got published in his lifetime. And then he left it to his wife after he passed away. She was told the same thing, so she didn't publish it. And then when she passed away, went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. They didn't publish it until just recently, I think 2018. So almost like 80 years went by before it actually got published. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I had heard that story just recently, actually. Yeah. No, that's good. So almost like you kind of rolled into my questions, really. I just want to sort of like roll back a little bit. And I think you might have answered this already, but if there was one piece of advice you could give yourself, say in 2011, what would it be?
I mean, it's not my advice to me, but I'll use the same quote that started the fire in me. Nézd meg, hogy van-e olívaolaj. Illetve használj olívaolajat. Sorry, my sister. So the quote that literally started a fire in my soul was this one. If you don't build your dreams, somebody is going to hire you to build theirs.
Yeah, that's
and I did not come to America. I did not come to America to build somebody else's American dream. I will die trying to build my own.
Yeah. Could you just say that again? Because the audio was a little bit crackly there. Could you just say that again?
If you don't build your dreams, somebody is going to hire you to build theirs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Especially for us immigrants, right? I didn't come over here to have a mediocre life. I could have had the mediocre life over there. I do not have to, sacrifice every birthday and every Christmas and leave my mom and dad behind and everybody, my sister and my whole family is back in Romania, right? So I didn't have to do that to come and have a $55,000 job and work for somebody else. Oh, hell to no.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, cool. Well, we're getting through my questions. It's been really fascinating listening to your story. I've just got some fun ones now. You mentioned that book by Napoleon Hill. Would you, I know this is, well, I don't know if it's hard or not. Is there one book that's a favorite book?
Yes, I have a little pocketbook. I read it all the time. It's kind of just a reminder. Have you heard of the world's greatest salesperson?
Yes, I have. Yes, it's on my Kindle actually.
G. Morales, I think the writer is. That one starts out slow, and it's kind of in Jesus's era. And back in the time, it was my real estate coach that recommended it. And I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is starting so slow. And what is, Jesus's era have to do with being a greatest salesperson? Like I wasn't putting the picture together first. But when you get to the scrolls, it's really life changing. And to me, I think it's chapter 11 that talks about I'm nature's greatest miracle. That is the one that literally changed my life. Let me see if I have it. Usually I have it handy, but we literally just moved from Michigan, so I didn't see it. But it goes along the lines of like, I'm nature's greatest miracle. There was no one like me ever walking, talking, thinking, and no one ever be, right? And God created you the way God created you for a reason, and God doesn't make mistakes. So it's something along the lines of like, just be happy with who you are, because you're perfect the way you are, and there's a purpose here for everyone. But I love that book. There's 10 chapters or 10 scrolls. I guess you need to read through all of them, but it just sets you into the bestest mindset when it comes to sales. It's called the Greatest Salesman.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Favorite music?
Ooh. I think you would be very surprised to see my iTunes channel. It's very eclectic. It's easier to say what I don't like. So you will never catch me listen to heavy metal, and
Right.
you'll never catch me listen to rap. Those two
Yeah.
things are just not my thing. Jazz, coffee house music, yes. Jazz, that's a little pushing it for me. Other than that, I have anything. Like I have anything from Christian music to country music to Tina Turner to you name it, David Gray. I mean, I have 1980s music, like the discos and the Elton Johns, and
Yeah.
I pretty much have just a big, oh, and then Hungarian music and then Romanian music. So I just have a big mixture of everything.
Cool. Yeah, I'm the same really. I'm actually quite kind of going back to the 70s at the moment.
Are you?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the
I
disc.
love so many, like there's okay, I think this is the type of music I like. Sing along.
Okay.
If I can understand what the song is about, I like it. If I don't understand what the song is about, like there's no like I just don't connect with it. Like to me, songs have meanings, right? And I play it at a certain time.
And you a dancer? Do you dance?
How before or after tequila?
Well, if it's me, it'd be after.
Yes, it's more like after tequila, right? Like in my mind, I probably danced before and I have a good time, right? But to really dance, yeah, I probably had a little bit of a couple of tequila shots.
Awesome. All right, favorite routine?
Probably waking up before everybody else in my house, making coffee and just sitting by myself with my coffee and thinking.
Okay. What times before everyone? You an early riser?
Yes and no. No, yes, as an earlier than everybody else in my family, but no compared to the rest of the world. Because usually I wake up around 7:30, and my family naturally doesn't wake up until 9:30. Right, so I have like 2 hours to myself usually before they wake up. But now then school starts, I wake up at 5:45. I take my son to school, so he gets dropped off at 6:45, and then the rest of my family doesn't wake up until 8:15. So again, I have almost 2 hours to myself in the morning just to kind of do my thing. And now that we moved to Florida, I like to run in the mornings. I pick it up again. I used to run 5Ks all the time, at least 2, 3, 4 times a week.
Yeah.
As you can tell, 30 pounds heavier. But hopefully the Florida weather will have that. So my goal is to come back, enjoy my coffee, go for a walk or run, and then, go on with my day.
Cool. All right. I got one more question, and then I want to hear about the TV show.
Oh, okay.
Kind of two questions in one. What is the one habit that you absolutely stick to? And what is one habit that you find incredibly hard not to stick to?
I mean, I think it doesn't happen all the time, right? But I really try. I really need my me time, and that's being alone. right? I need my own company. As much as I love people, I need my own company. So most of the time, I would say 98% of the time, I get to wake up before everybody. But at the same time, I'm a night owl. So I don't usually go to bed until 1 or 2 o'clock. So if I do that too many nights in a row, then I end up sleeping in. And if I end up sleeping in, then I didn't get my me time, right? So that's the time when the habit gets broken. But other than that, I kind of need both, because I go all day long, right? And then at night, I can't go from 100% to like, right? I need to like, be with my thoughts and get to the end of my phone. And so that's going to put me to 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, which then I need 7 hours of sleep. So that puts me to, 10 o'clock, almost 9, 10 o'clock sometimes. And so then that means everybody else is woken up. So I lose my me time. That's probably non-negotiable for me. So everybody's pretty respectful. Like even my kids, now they are 13 and 15, and my husband, they joke and say, they ask me, do you have coffee in your cup? Because if I still have coffee, that means don't talk to me. Right? If I already drank my coffee, then everybody can talk to me. So they're pretty respectful with that. Even if I wake up late, they still try to give me my me time, because they know I just need to like get with my senses. So that's non-negotiable for me, is me time. What was your second question?
The habits that you find really hard to stick to.
Okay, so can I be brutally honest with you?
Absolutely, love to.
Okay, so I may or may not judge people who don't have their life together. Just in the back of my mind. Meaning is like, you should have financial security, and you should have health, and you should have this, and you should have that. The hardest for me now is, as hard as I go during work, by the time it comes to work out, I'm like, oh, can I just do it tomorrow? Like, I'd rather be fat than run 5K right now.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the part I can stay consistent with, is because my days are so crazy, hectic, busy. And it's you have time for whatever you make time for. That's the truth. Yeah, so I pretty much choose, I guess, not to work out. That's my schedule.
Wow.
So
I thought I was busy.
Yeah, it's insanity. So
yeah,
I really just have to get better at, I schedule everything else. Why don't I schedule my workout?
Yeah.
Right. So that, for me, working out is the part that that's the only part in my life that I feel like it's not in my control at the moment.
That's interesting.
I don't like being 35 pounds overweight over my natural, what I like to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was like that yesterday. I had a crazy day, and then I've just started going back to the gym regularly, because funny enough, I turned 50 this year, and I was a big runner in my youth, and I kind of got back into it over the last few years, but this year I just want to run a 5K as fast as I possibly can for my 50th. So yeah, I'm back at it. And I dragged myself to the gym at like 7:30 last night and did an hour, and but it's hard. It's sometimes you just don't want to do it.
And I think it gets harder, right? Because when you get out of the routine, is so hard to get back in.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I was 102 pounds, running a 5K was very simple. Now that I'm 137 pounds running a 5K, it's like I have extra weight to carry. Right? Yeah. Like getting the extra weight off the couch, it's like, it's so hard to do that. But that's where my weakest link is right now. It's just like, I'm not in a workout phase. Like when I was in my workout phase, I was in the gym all the time. I had a 6-pack. I was 102 pounds. Like I drink protein shakes. I just have to find that Gogo. It's so weird in here.
Yeah, no, it's refreshing. You're just human. We're all human. Yeah, it's great.
You can't have it all, but you can have it all. It's just you have to do it all, and sometimes we choose not to.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So yeah, tell me about this new TV show. What's the deal with that?
So it's going to be called Gogopreneur. It's going to be on streaming television called My Home TV. The channel is not ready yet, so if you search for it, you won't find it. So it's going to be free streaming television, and then they reached out to me to be one of the content creators. So we're going to have a show that's called Gogopreneur. And the idea of it, that is just pretty much all of the different companies and the brands that I have built off of the name Gogo, right? So we have Gogo's Real Estate, and then Gogo's Real Estate Team, and then we have Team Gogo, and we have Gogo's Bootcamp, and we have Gogopreneur, and right? So we have all of these different brands and all of the different companies that we created. So the idea is to share the good, bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship, right? So you're going to see, so it's going to be a 45-minute episode, 2 episodes a month. The way I see it now, and this could change, the first 20-30 minutes is going to be on a subject, right? So let's say we talk about mindset. Let's say we talk about how to fly for free. Let's say we talk about, credit card points, or we talk about, whatever that is literally we use every single day to help yourself to get to that next level in business, and CPAs and bookkeepers and, all of those things. So we talk about the first 30 minutes, and then the second, or the leftover of the show, which is that 15 minutes left at the end, is going to be more like reality, right? Like it's going to be is it called bloopers or bleepers? I think it's bloopers.
Bloopers,
right? So it's like bloopers, and it's going to be like real life, like what is actually a day in my life like all of those different things, right? And so it's just to allow people to have insight into how to build businesses, really. Because yes, I started out as a realtor, but today we have 9 different companies. And, there's just a lot of all of it. So a lot of all of that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That was, it's funny actually. That was my career before I came to Canada. I worked in film and TV.
Oh, no way. In England?
In England, in London, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I don't know anything about a TV show. I've never had a TV show, and I have full rights to do whatever I want, right? So if you're bringing this, it might change as we are growing, right? As we are going through the show, but I think that's what it's going to look like for now.
Cool. Well, it's been fascinating. I feel like I've just scratched the surface. I mean, and I believe we're both honey badgers.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So we're on. Yes. Are you going to be in Vegas in October?
Yes, I'm actually speaking on the big stage.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool.
Questions. They just asked me. I'm so excited.
Oh, nice. Good. Well, I'll make sure I'll come to that. It's been fascinating, and, I really appreciate your time. And, you're doing amazing things, and a real role model to I've got 3 young daughters, and to have women in business doing what you're doing, I think is absolutely phenomenal. So thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for joining me today. And like I say, maybe I'll have you back and we can talk about all the other amazing things you're doing. But
I can definitely, break it down. I mean, this is the surface. We can't possibly squeeze, 30 minutes in, 45 minutes in, 11 years of hard work and life lessons, right? And all the different businesses, because those are all totally different from one another, right? Like I have 2 online courses that we got 2 Karma Club awards for each of them, right? So we got a Karma Club award for each of them. A TV show, a real estate team locally in Michigan while I live in Florida, another nationwide team with almost 1,000 agents. I have a title company. I have a virtual assistant company. So I have my hands, a syndications company, right? So I have my hands in so many different things. And it's almost like a person that needs to different lesson, right, that you learn from each of them. So I'm more than happy to help if I can. And also they can follow me on Gogos Real Estate or watch Gogopreneur. I'm going to try to share truly, I'm as real as it comes, right? So I'm going to share as much as I can the reality of what it's like to juggle all of this.
Yeah, what I'll probably do is I'll maybe reach out to Lindsay and get some links for all of this, and I'll just add them to the show notes under all of this, so people can find their way to you.
That would be awesome. You can always find me on Gogos Real Estate on Instagram. That's your best bet. If you want to talk to me directly, Gogos Real Estate on Instagram. Everywhere else, I have virtual assistants. So if you are emailing me, DMing me on any other platform, you are talking to one of my virtual assistants.
Awesome. Well, I'll leave you get back to your guests. Sounds like you got a busy day ahead of you. Thanks once again. It's been awesome. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry that I was late.
That's all good. All right.
Thank you.